What's up, fellow goaltenders and goaltending fans? Welcome to Inside the Blue Paint. I'm your host, Pete Fricano, former goaltender and current color commentator for the Monroe Moccasins of the FPHL. I'm coming to you from just outside of New Orleans by way of Chicago. I have over 33 years of playing experience and coaching also between the pipes, in a place we like to call the Blue Paint. In this show, we're going to be filled with facts and opinions on all things goaltending. Right or wrong, you're going to get honest, somewhat answers about what is arguably the toughest and most important position in all sports. So, without further ado, welcome to Inside the Blue Paint. Today, joining us is a gentleman that has played in both the FPHL and SPHL. He started his pro career in Danville. He's also played for Carolina, Watertown, Baton Rouge, and Mississippi, all of the FPHL, as well as Macon and Knoxville of the SPHL. He's currently playing for one of my conference rivals, the Blue Ridge Bobcats, a Massachusetts native. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than Greg Hussey. What up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for wanting to come play. It's been a long time coming.
Exactly. Yeah. We're trying to find some time, and you know how that goes.
Yeah. Things got real busy real quick on both of our ends. I mean, you start out the season, you were down in Mississippi for a minute, right? And then next thing you know, I was flying under the radar, becoming the color commentator from Monroe. And when that came out, we were just grinning ear to ear because I'm back with my buddy Joseph Furtado. So we're tearing it up over there, having a good time, and we're just enjoying, educating. That's what we're here to do. But it's good to see you again. We became friends in Baton Rouge last year.
Yes, it did.
With the Bizarre Goaltending Guild.
Yeah. Thought we were gonna be able to get in and back me up at least one game or something like that, but we stayed heavily stacked with goaltenders for the time being that I was in the beautiful Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Yeah,
the Red Stick, and my time was cut short at some point too. But you know what? Hey, neither here nor there. As we've talked before, God puts us in places He wants us to be in. So that's that.
Yeah, yes, He does. Absolutely, I am.
That's that
walking truth of that.
So you're with Blue Ridge now, which, as we talk right now, Blue Ridge is sitting in fourth place in the FPHL. In the Continental Division?
Athens, Carolina, Columbus, and then us. Am I missing?
Either that or it's let's see, off the top of my head, I think it might be Carolina, Athens, Columbus, you guys, Baton Rouge, then Monroe.
Yeah, okay.
And poor Mississippi's just hanging out.
Poor Mississippi didn't have they didn't have a fair shot. Going into the poor arena, and the freaking glass isn't set up, and you're trying to take this serious, and you get, it was. I think everyone understands what was going on over there, so I mean, I don't really need to say too much, but
yeah, but you're here now. You're hanging out in Blue Ridge. Yeah, you're here now, so that's all that matters.
This is my retirement year too. Look at that.
I was going to say, so I thought you were retired, kind of, sort of. And then I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, sure. I was. I talked to a couple teams at the beginning of the year, and I was on my high horse, and I was like, nope, I'm going to be an adult, and I'm going to just work. I'm not going to play hockey. I'm going to move on to a new chapter in my life. And then family's got a weird way of just pulling you back in. You know what I mean? Brendan's like, hey, man, we just lost 3 goalies. Okay, scratch that. 4 goalies in a week. Buddy, we need some help at the beginning of the year. Tell you what, come to training camp. And I'm like, training camp? It's in Mississippi. He goes, wrong. We don't have ice until like 3 weeks into the season. So our training camp's in Blue Ridge. And I was like, no way. I was like, all right, I'll come play some hockey for a little bit. So that got me into it, and got up there, and then a couple exhibition games and just hanging with the guys. And I mean, most of that team is left over from, Baton Rouge last year.
Mhm.
So it was an easy fit to pop in there. Again, also part of the reason me retiring this year was I purchased a house with my lovely fiance. So we were trying to financially not put ourselves in a pickle, the financial FPHL pickle that everyone's aware of. So we're trying to avoid that. But she was like, go play for a little bit. Go have some fun. I was like, thank you. Appreciate it. Had some fun for a bit. Finished up down there. And then Zemi called me. He's like, Greg, Carolina ran out goalie a couple weeks ago or last week, and he's injured. And we need some help. We got the opening night. He said, we had an opening night out there last year, our first year. And he's like, we got spanked. He goes, we need some help. He goes, you train with those guys. He goes, that arena is your home arena. He's like, will you come and help us? I was like, heck yeah. I love playing in the Annex. It's like my second favorite arena to play in. So, I popped in, got the win. I mean, and I was hooked. That locker room over there with those guys, the Bobcats, they're a great group of guys. So it's hard. It's hard. I want to step away from it. I really do, but it's just find its way to get its big meaty paws back on me,
Oh yeah, it sucks you back in, man. It's just and Blue Ridge is one I've been saying all year too. It's the most improved team in the entire league. It is, and
there's no question, and that's
it's a turnaround, 180 turnaround.
It's impressive. It's impressive. That's Coach Zemi, and I mean even Jimmy over there. They do an amazing job running that facility and taking care of the guys, putting the players first, and seeing what's most important to the team, the organization. They do an absolute wonderful job. And that was once I got to see the behind the scenes a little bit more in that organization, I was like, man, guys, you guys, I got to give you credit because, I mean, we saw you a bunch of times. We were both first-year teams with Baton Rouge and them last year. And, we saw each other a whole bunch, and we had great games. And then we had games that was like, whoa, they didn't show up at all that game, did they? And that went both ways. To say the least, both organizations, Baton Rouge and Blue Ridge, incredible turnaround this year.
Oh, 100%. And a lot of it has to do with goaltending, right? One of the first big moves Baton Rouge did was go out and get Brendan Colgan. And that was like, whoa, wait a minute. So then you're putting your pieces around, and I'll be biased. And I think you want to build around a goaltending and a defense. And then after that, everything else falls into place.
Goalie out, always.
100%. Yeah, I hate to be a little biased, but I do have to ask you something that's kind of been on my mind the last I think maybe a little less.
Okay.
What do you think about the Brad Marchand trade?
Oh, bro.
I don't even understand how that took place.
So I have an opinion on the whole. If you look at everything, you know what I mean? Coyle and who else did they get rid of? Is Frederick gone too? I don't even watch anymore. Like I literally stopped watching. But my personal opinion is I know they offered him more money and extend his contract. And I know it wasn't anything to scoff at by any means. You have the captaincy position. You're going to get the money. You don't have to move. Your family, your wife, your kids, everything is right there. Nothing changes. And that's a lot of stress on an athlete to move and go to a different organization. I personally think you will probably hear something about it. There's something really bad going on either in that locker room or in that management staff organization with the Bruins. I really do. That's my input on it. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a big fan of that trade, but I also know that for a guy to be that person in that organization, man, that's for him to just get up and go, especially to the Panthers, bro.
That's where I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I loved watching those games last year. I'm like, well, but Matthew Tkachuk's going to be what? He's out for the rest of the season anyway. So at least that's what I thought. So that's going to help them to fill a little bit of a void, but
for sure.
But man, when those two get clicking, we'll see what happens. You're gonna have some scrappiness.
Well, they just I mean, they played the other night, and they lost to the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Bruins beat them. So and it was a little bit of a bloodbath. I think Bennett got his teeth pushed in a little bit, and that happens.
Well, I like the Blackhawks trade. I like them getting Spencer Knight. I think that's fantastic. I think that's their goaltender of the future right now.
I think was just buried in that lineup. Who else?
Bob. He's buried behind Bob.
Bob, and then they have the other guy. I can't think of his name. They call him what they call him. They get his nickname is fantastic. This is gonna kill me now. Man, I sound like a dummy. All right, let's see who is the other guys. Let me do a quick Google Chat GPT search here.
Yeah, well, at least we're still with 2 original 6 teams, so that's kind of a good good connection on that.
Yes, that is true.
But no, I was very happy with the Spencer Knight move. I thought it was a good move, getting rid of our very lazy defenseman. To do nothing for you lately, but complain about everything. So yeah, it's when you're
hear that.
So we're quite happy with that move. I'm pretty sure.
Let's see roster here. Let's see defense goalies. All right, I lied. I don't know who the other goalie is. Apparently, it's Vanacek.
Yeah. I don't know what his nickname would have been.
I don't know if it was him. Maybe I'm just
tired.
I'm definitely tired. I was up at 4 a.m. this morning. I had to be in northern part of Richmond, Virginia, for a job site. Yeah, we were dropping down new steel. We're setting up a building out there for a company I work for. We build custom, luxurious barn-dominiums. It's called 1845 barn-dominiums.
They sound fabulous, and I've told some people here about barn-dominiums, and they're very excited about those as well.
Well,
and I've given them your number.
Same.
Well, they actually just moved to Montana, so I don't know if that's going to help at this point. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, they can set them up with a kit package or a shell package or something like that. They can just call me. We can figure something out. It's not a problem.
Well, I'll let them know.
We can always.
But hey, man, what? I mean, I get you're from Massachusetts, but what actually got you into hockey?
My dad. Firstborn. My dad's my guy. I was probably let's see, I was firstborn for the first 4 or 5 years. So my dad was like my best buddy. Every Saturday night, even to this day, they have something him and his buddies have done every Saturday night in the same rink, 9 o'clock, LeConte Rink, Medford, Massachusetts. It's called Saturday Night Hockey. They call it SNH. They got hats, T-shirts, jerseys, logos. They've been doing it since 1999, the year I was born. Every Saturday night, they go down there and they play. It's just a bunch of friends, and it's no refs. Throw your sticks in the middle. Someone goes, disperses. You got 2 goalies. NHL, center, face-off, go. They score a goal. That team picks it up in the corner and breaks it out from there, and they carry on, and that's their game. They've been doing it since 1990. So he was a goalie, obviously, and that was kind of like my, you go see Dad do all this stuff, and he puts all this modern-day armor on, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, my gosh, Dad, like, that's so cool. How do I do it? And, he starts you out in-house, and you play, I started as a forward, and God knows I couldn't score a goal. So I was like, Dad, why do I get those pads on? And in-house, they kind of circulate the goalie equipment around because, like, it's, stupid money for goalie equipment. And so I think I got the first set of old leather Cooper pads that were like leather stitched on top of like the rip holes and stuff like that. And they were stuffed with like horse hair.
Yeah. So, yeah. Deer hair. Yeah.
Deer hair. You go down to Butterfly and the ice is still wet. And if the hole was big enough and you're sitting there and you're stretching or something like that, and then you go to stand up, it pulls all the hair out into the ice and then it freezes. So like you're not very good in your skates yet, and you're like hitting these little like cotton ball patches in your crease, and you're falling down, and what's going on here? So it's that's how I kind of got hooked with it. That's how I started with hockey. Was definitely watching Dad.
Then you went through high school hockey, I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah, well, I played a bunch of select leagues, obviously in the area, Metros, Metro Selects, for the Devils, St. Moritz Devils. I don't know what St. Moritz is.
I don't know where they're at either.
I don't know now. But I played then, and then from there went to high school. I went to Malden Catholic, which is a really big Catholic Conference Division I hockey school. They play against Shattuck St. Mary's. They play against all those big teams out there in Minnesota. My original coach was Keith Kachuk's brother, who we were very good friends with. He was a huge fan of mine. And then I get in there my freshman year, and then he takes another job as a NHL scout.
Oh.
So there was really no politics. He was kind of like, hey, man, I've been watching you. You're a great goalie. Like, you're probably not going to play your freshman year because you're just a little guy. But he said, I want you around 24/7. He goes, and you will be my sophomore, junior, senior goalie for sure. And then he ended up leaving, and then another coach comes in, and they comes in with his whole set of politics and, friends and all that stuff like that. And yeah, he ended up playing with guys that are whatever. And I didn't end up staying there. I wasn't getting a fair shake. So I was like, I just want to play hockey. I want to play some college hockey. So my local town in Medford, Mass, they were Division I. They weren't Catholic Conference, but they was still a Division I organization. Very, very powerful. They played against, Arlington, Billerica, Waltham, and these schools were great towns, great hockey towns in that area that brewed good hockey players. So I mean, it was nothing to scoff at by any means. So I was able to walk over there and start playing, and I just started that, and I finished up my high school career in Medford High School, or actually the vocational school. I took a trade, but did that. And then my senior year, I was able to play in the Eastern Junior Hockey League, the EJHL, which was a big league. I mean, I think who else? Boyle played out in the EJ. There's a bunch of other different goalies, and so I can't think of anybody else right now because I get hit in the head too much. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I got to play senior year. I got to do like a split year and play for like the EJ team, and then eventually go back to high school. And like all the guys were really supportive, so they come. The whole junior team, they're all like 19, 20-year-old kids, and they were coming to like my high school games, and they were all rowdy and stuff like that. It was fun. It was fun. So yeah.
Who's your NHL? Who did you look up to as far as your was it Patrick Waugh?
Yeah, not Dominic Hasek with his stupid helmet. I don't care what everybody says. I didn't like him. Also, he was good, but then like he left, and then like he came back when Patrick was like, I'm going to retire. And he was like, then he came back, and it's like, you know what, dude, have some competition, buddy. Anyway, I'm a goalie snob for sure. I like Marty Brodeur. Actually, did you see I think it's his son that's playing in the
His
Coastal.
son. Yep.
Yeah, bro. He had a sequence of saves the other day that I almost pootered myself, honestly. It was insane. Like he had like 5-6 lights out saves consecutive, one after another. I'm like, oh my gosh, buddy, get it.
Yeah, the kid's good. I mean, you've got a good coach, right? I mean, you've got somebody in your wheelhouse there that's
that wisdom
like, that's
passed on.
dad.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't pass that up. And it the goaltenders that I grew up with right off the jump, the first goalies that I was even introduced to was Darren Pang and Elaine Chevrier, which is way before you. And then the goaltender from the University of North Dakota comes walking on in, Eddie Belfour, and then that was it. It was like, holy cow, man! What a great
Chicago, yeah.
like, and all of a sudden we had this weird goalie factory, and then Dominic Hasek. We had Jimmy Wake too, was backing up Eddie, but then you had Hasek comes through, and it's just like, oh, okay, and then now we're gonna ship him off. I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing there? But what? Yeah. So I mean, at least, and my pads were Andy Moog's Vaughn Legacies, so that's where such a great my goalies back then were Felix Potvin, Curtis Joseph, Bill Ranford, Eddie Belfour. I'm dating myself obviously on this stuff, but I always had you said Defoe.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Ron Tugnut. Yeah, you're going back there with some Frank Pietrangelo. Yeah. Chris Terreri. I liked Terreri though. Terreri's, probably because he had the legacies too. But yeah, man, it's like, I mean, what hooked me was my first ever Blackhawks game was Super Mario's rookie year. Came to Chicago Stadium. I really didn't know a whole hell of a lot about hockey. My dad took my brother and I and my mom. We all went, and then the Hawks held him off the sheet, and Steve Larmer had a hat trick, and that's it. Lights out. I was done. I was hooked automatically. I tell a lot of the people, if you could watch 1,000 games on television, until you go to a game and you get the sights, the smells, the sounds, the back, the organ, the food. I smell the gear. I could smell the ice. Nothing like it.
The smells are so specific. Even today, it's weird. Like I said, like the retirement thing for me was like very relevant this year. But getting into an arena again, like even just after like taking the summer off, right? You get away from their rinks for a little bit, and like you're not away from rinks, you're still in rinks, but you get in away from like it's showtime night rink. You know what I mean? Yeah. You walk in, and for me, for some reason, I don't know this. It's two smells: hot dogs and popcorn. Those two smells, they just hit the right way in an arena, and it's like, oh my gosh, let's go.
Even the spilled stale beer is there. You got that. You're like, yeah, I'm here. I smell onions, and we're ready to go. Oh, and there's somebody's glove. I can smell a glove. That's in there. Like I have the old.
I don't smell it.
I've got the old Brown Coopers. That's what I started with. Those were my first pads with the Brown Coopers. I had the whole Brown set up. And those have a distinct smell too. Like I can have my eyes shut and you can give me 35 smells and I'll know exactly what that one is. It's like that's or my chest protector. If you had, like that's my chest. I never knew you were supposed to clean those things. I'm like, whatever. That's fine. I mean, no.
Lay it down outside on a summer day.
No.
Spray it.
Well, now I would have. Then
bottom,
no.
You'll see it just seep black sludge.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, we're not doing that. Thanks though. Hey man, you got super.
It's lighter. It is lighter.
The stuff now sure is. Well, I mean, it's. Oh well, yeah, because all the scum comes out. Yeah.
The skunk. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah. I mean, it's. My mom used to love taking us to practice, taking my brother and I to practice, and it's like the whole car would be horrible, brutal. I remember what
she did the same thing, and she got us through life through cleaning houses and businesses, and she had her own cleaning company. She cleaned. She cleaned up after 4 kids, bless her heart. She has been. That's why I am now. I have my own detail business. I do construction cleaning on the side. and it's all because of her. But needless to say, she'd be grabbing our equipment. Can I wash this? Can I wash this? And we're like yelling at her, me and my brother. No, Ma, like we can't touch that. Like,
no,
just leave it alone. Like she's doing us a favor.
That would almost to me be like a superstitious. Don't watch this. But
exactly.
What superstitions do you have? Because I know we're not all crazy in the net, nope. But I don't either. But I always had to get dressed. I get dressed left to right.
Oh God,
I just do.
Way, no way.
Yeah, left to right, and then I always had to sit next to the same defenseman. Like we always, like all of our games, high school. It was the same. I had to sit on his left, on his right, It was my buddy Kevin, and I couldn't sit anywhere else.
My stuff.
Nothing. I've heard some crazy superstitions, and I'm not like that.
More of like my superstitions was more of it was just more of a routine. Being prepared for the game, so it was like go about my stretching in the correct manner. That might have been it, but that was like high school, college, maybe a meal, maybe making sure if I was going to have a meal, it would be roughly. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy. That's very straightforward. So anything steak, chicken, potatoes, and maybe like a green bean or Brussels sprouts or something like that, broccoli, whatever. And that was it. That was religion. But that was also, just what I grew up with. So I mean, I don't know if it was really a superstition so much. It was just what my body I know reacted to well, and I burned it correctly or whatever it was. But superstitions, anyone that I possibly had in college. I think college is when I really started to be like, I don't know, goalies start to get like crazy head case, or maybe it's an ego or whatever it might be. And like, that's where I started to get some superstitions with like, I do this pad first, or, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes if I got a shutout the night before, I'd be like, okay, I remember doing this specifically, and I got to redo this again. And it's like, that's stupid. But then I got to the FPHL and buses broke down every 3.5 minutes. So whatever superstition you had, it was going out the window. It was going out the window. You don't know if you're showing up. You're showing up at game time. You got to strap everything on and get the fuck out there. So like once I showed up in that league, I was like, okay, if I want to be successful, I got to drop this stupid baby shit. Like I got to just go play hockey.
Right. So, go out there and just stop the next puck. That's all it is at that point. Well, I mean, so do you have any like pregame meal, like favorite things you do now? Honestly,
if I have a choice, it's nice steak, filet, or whatever is available. You know what I mean? If I can get a good,
I know you're fond of the Chipotle.
Chipotle is not bad, but I mean Chipotle, I don't know. Chipotle is like, okay, I can deal with it. I don't do rice from Chipotle. If I go get a bowl from Chipotle, I never do rice anymore. I don't know what it is. I don't trust their rice. I don't know. Call me crazy. That's fine. But I usually just do vegetables, chicken, maybe like a drizzle of queso, pico, and then cheese, and like that's it. Like I'll just do that and like just keep it simple. Get the double meat chicken and stuff like that, and we'll just go that way. But yeah, Chipotle,
I just don't like rice. No,
it fills you and it's heavy and it sits and it soaks up all your water, especially on a game day. You're going like we talked about earlier. Like you're gonna drop 15 pounds in water weight in a game. Period. You know what I mean?
That's
so
true.
Like, why do you need something else in your body sucking you dry of all the stuff and nutrients that you need to have regardless? So I stay away from the rice. Chipotle I enjoy Chipotle, but it was always a go-to for all the guys. You know what I mean? Because it was decently healthy. Decently. I mean, you know what I mean?
It can be, yeah.
It's and you're in the Fed, so it's definitely better than stopping at stopping at a McDonald's or a freaking Subway.
Yeah, for sure. And then hockey nutrition now is so different than it was, say, in the 90s. Right. It was. My pre games was always depending on what time of the day. Anyway, I mean, if it was an afternoon or evening game or whatever, I was doing plain spaghetti noodles with butter and Parmesan, or sauce. And I'm and still to this day, I am a soup and sandwich person. I would do a ham sandwich and chicken noodle soup. That was my pregame. Like. I'm a soup and sandwich person all day. I mean, I could eat. My wife even made fun of me. Doesn't matter. Look, here's one. So wait. Okay. So in high school, one of my best friends, he was my defenseman. I always sat next to when we actually were on the same team, but we were from different high schools. And he spent the night before a game on a Sunday morning, and my mom made us steak and eggs for breakfast. I was like, yeah. Apparently, he's not used to that, and he played like crap. He was a defenseman for Marist High School. Played like absolute garbage. And his mom, I think we want to beat them. And his mom after the game came up to us and she's like, "What did you feed him?" We're like, "Oh, we had steak and eggs for breakfast." She's like, "You did what?" She's like, "No wonder he looked like that. He looked like garbage. He was sucking wind. It was hilarious." I'm like, "That's
He's
what we eat."
vegan. Why would you give him that?
No, Kev's not vegan. Not vegan. He was picky, but not vegan. But yeah, I was like, yeah, but I mean, Mom always cooked breakfast for us. It didn't matter, but yeah, I had my little pregame meals, but I mean that's the nutrition's so different though now. God,
there's some guys in the league and they're just ripping pancakes on like game day.
No,
that's you might as well just have stuff 6 donuts down your face. You know what I mean? Like
brutal.
It's kind of crazy.
Well, what's it like playing with your brother Brendan?
Oh man, I miss it. I think we got 3 good years where we never spoke to any coach or organization telling them we were a package deal or anything like that. But we were always seeing the behind the scenes of like, if we were on a separate team and be like, you know, like for instance, like we started out in Watertown together. That was when I first came back to the league after being out of it for 5 years. I was like, I'm going to go back and play some hockey. I had some life changes and I was like, let's go play some hockey. So I went back and Coach Clark was there and he was like, Huss, like, you sure? Like I got other goalies and stuff like that. He's like, do you want to just stick around? I was like, let me just give me a couple weeks, like, and let me get like into a rhythm. And like I said, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's fine. And he's like, okay, stick around, Huss. And Brendan wasn't there that year, and not at the beginning. He was there earlier on, and then he went to Macon. They were short that year, 21, 22. That year. And so he went out there and he was out there for a little bit. And I was, season starting. I'm hanging around. I'm feeling good in the net and stuff like that. I think it was me, Colgan, and then some other kid. I can't think of who the heck it was. He was some kid from, I think he was from Cleveland. And he was a good kid. He was a little weird, but he was a goalie, so I mean, it was whatever. But it was me, Colgs, and that kid. And that kid he worked his bag off. But something about transitioning to games, that game mindset from practice, he was lights out. And then you get into the game, and it's like you're trying to read Japanese. You know what I mean? And it didn't work. So I started getting a couple games there, and eventually we got some wins under my belt, and Brendan's up in Macon, and he's like, man, we just lost another goalie, and like we got no one coming in. And he's like, Coach, my brother's down in Watertown. He's got like 17 wins. He's like 17-2 right now. And Coach was like, oh, well, would he be interested in coming out? And Brendan was like, yeah. So like I got a text from Brendan later on, and he's like, hey, you might get a call. Like Coach might be calling you like today. Like 2 minutes later, bam. Coach calls me. I go, Coach Desjardins? Like, yeah, how's it going? He's like, we could use your help. We could, you know what I mean? You're interested in coming out to Macon? And like, I was like, yeah, let's go to SP. Yeah, let's do it. So I was able to get out there and play with him. And it was, he was already established. So he was kind of showing me the ropes, picked me up from the airport and all that stuff like that. And like, that's my little brother. You know what I mean? That's my youngest brother. And like he's up there, like, he's like, I know this, showing me everything. And like I'm like, what is going on? What a weird world we're in right now. And that was it. That's what started it. And we didn't really leave each other for the next 3 years. And we that year we didn't room together. That was okay. That was fine. We came back to Watertown, and we won the championship that year. We still weren't rooming together. But then that following year, excuse me, that's disgusting. That's Bad Daddy's Burger Shack. Anyway, so we ended up coming back to Watertown that following year after we won the championship, and we were living together. We lived in the same room, not in the same room, but we had the same apartment building, and it was just easy. It was awesome. You know what I mean? It was, you could make dinner together, and Fed salary is nothing crazy. So I mean, we could just pool our money and just have a slew of food in there, whatever we needed. We were good to go. I had a car. He didn't have a car, so it was perfect. And like, never mind, it's like, it's your brother. So, I mean, like, one of us is always on FaceTime with mom or dad, and they're like, go see your brother. Go see your brother. You know what I mean? Just messing with us or something like that. Just, it was honestly like me and my two brothers, Colin and Brendan. I know we talked about it when we were younger about, obviously how cool would it be if we all played like against each other on the same team in like the NHL or something like that. And, the NHL is extremely difficult, obviously, to achieve. But being able to play any type of competitive sport when you get older with your sibling, and it's a sport that you guys obviously have worked your whole life to play, and it is a dream. It is a dream. It's a lot of fun. I mean, what's better than going into a locker room or something like that, and maybe you don't know everybody, but you got your little bro or your bigger bro there, and man, that was so much fun. So much fun. I don't know how we got away with playing 3 years together, but we did.
So. Well, you lucked out. That's what you did. You definitely lucked out.
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah. Well, then, since you guys did kind of bounce around, what's your favorite city so far to play in? Like what city and fan base? What's your favorite fan base? And it could be in any of the leagues.
Okay. Man, I love playing in Fayetteville. I had a real good tilt out there in Fayetteville with them. We brought them to a shootout one game, and just something about the arena. The arena is massive. They had some good hockey players over there too, and it was just good, fun hockey. There's something about Fayetteville out there. I don't know, something about North Carolina. That's why I live here now. I always said, even when I played Carolina, I always played against Carolina. I was like, man, this place is sick. Like, let's get up and get going. Like, we're gonna, I'm gonna get harassed on the way out to the rink, and like it's loud, it's bumping, it's jumping, it's so like that was kind of part of the reason of me always thinking like, hey, I'm gonna move out to when I'm done. I'm gonna move out to Carolina, and then eventually we ended up getting traded there, and I got to live out here more, and then you get to know the booster club, and then they connect you to like the inner pipelines of people who work in the community, and they're part of the team, and they're whatever. And next thing you know, now I have a job with that 1845 Barnuminium company that started here. That started with one of the gentlemen's Bradley. He's McMurray. He's a big sponsor of the Thunderbirds. Still, it's the birds come into our office all the time. They're dropping off jackets, apparel, and stuff like that. They're giving me the finger on the way out of it. You know what I mean? And it's pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know, something about hockey in Carolina is just really special. And if any of you weird hockey buffs out there, take this stat down. This is pretty cool. Next year, North Carolina is going to be one of the only states, I believe, in the United States to have every minor league professional and major league professional hockey league in the state. So from the FPHL up to the NHL, they will have every single one. There's little to no rinks out here. It drives me crazy. Like, I'm trying to get my boss to be like, dude, we could have built some hockey rinks. Just a 2-sheet with a bar up top, make some chicken tenders or something like that, and a puddle for like training out back. And the place is going to sell out nonstop. Like, North Carolina is a hockey hotbed. I don't know who notices it or not, but it's a cool spot. It's right in the middle. And I feel like it's a little bit forgotten. But yeah, North Carolina's sick. I'm a big fan of North Carolina, so I like being out here. But I mean, man, playing for the Bobcats in Virginia, that's kind of sick too. So I mean, I can't throw any shame over there.
Yeah, no, it's hard, especially if you're playing for a team and we're like, it's like, this. But yeah, I mean, yeah, even still, when I was in Baton Rouge, I thought we had some pretty great fans, and we do. All fan bases do, and I never throw shade at any fans. But I tell you what, man, these fans up in Monroe are really awesome. It's really. It is special because it's the building holds like 5,300 or something like that, and we've had a couple sellouts already this year, and we're averaging like 4,700, and it's legit. And what's really weird is it's kind of like that old, kind of on a round type deal, like a really old barn, where the noise just echoes and caroms off of everything in there. And Joseph, I kind of made fun of him at first because he's like, yeah, we've got two nice broadcast booths. And he's like, I want to do it on top of the booth. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, that's a terrible idea. First game I got up there, I'm like, this is a great idea, man. I don't, because there's pregame, we cannot hear each other. We're yelling at each other because we can't hear it because they're so loud. And it's really an organic fan base, and it's, they had it 25 years ago. They've got it now. So all the kids are now adults. So their kids are going and playing. It's, and it's a family thing. They tailgate. I'm like, tailgating in hockey, that's not, they're getting like 250 people out there tailgating. It's wild.
That's not
and
normal,
it's
but that's awesome.
And it's refreshing to see that, because especially in the Gulf South, and maybe it's because the Fed, and in my crazy opinion, I really wish at some point the Fed and the SB, and I'll get back to that at some point, would merge. And I've got a crazy plan for that. But you'd open up some different, I guess, parts of the footprint, right? Because they're talking Topeka coming in this year, and I still think that's too far. I think that's too far west. It's kind of a weird logistic. I mean, are you gonna have Watertown making that trip, or Binghamton, or probably not? I mean, it's
occasionally.
That's a long trip. So sure, but you know what I mean? I mean, you sprinkle some SB teams in there. Now you've got some travel buddies. Now you're kind of, making travel not so difficult. But that's definitely a conversation for another day. But, just this league alone has some, and minor league hockey. I was at the first ever Chicago Wolves game, and minor league, I used to, man, I'm going to take some crap for this, but I used to call it hillbilly hockey. It's amazing. Because I didn't get it. I was. It's just corny and weird. I mean, they came in '94, so I was a junior in high school. You weren't a thought yet, but but we were like, we went, and I'm like, this isn't the Chicago Blackhawks. Well, no, it's not. It's minor league hockey, and I hadn't been exposed to it, and it's great. It's just a great alternative, and you're looking at the stars of tomorrow, or guys coming down for rehab stints, or whatever the case. So, sure. So yeah, it's. Look, any hockey is good hockey, to be honest with you. I don't care where it's at.
I mean, it's definitely better than not having hockey.
That's 100%, and it's definitely building in the South, and that's good to see, because other than having it in my drink, I never thought I'd see it here. Plus, there's rumblings of an NHL team coming to possibly New Orleans, and I may or may not know a thing or two about that I may or may not be able to talk about. But that's also another convo later. But and I noticed last couple of years you're rocking the True gear. Are you kind of partial to True now, or?
I've been partial to. I don't know. I'll probably get roasted if I say this incorrectly, but I've been doing it since I was since I switched from Vaughn way back before high school. Is it Lefebvre? Lafreniere, or is it Lefebvre?
Lefebvre. Yep.
Yeah. So I have been I love. Hey, bro. Fez. Shh.
Sorry. Who wants to be on?
Sorry. My big doofus of a dog. Come here. Okay. Come here. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. It's okay. All right, Vez. This is Vesna. Just like the trophy. Anyway, I've been following Lefebvre for years. I like what he does. He's consistent in what he does. They always, whether it's an update or if it's something that has worked, they haven't really strayed from it. And they're also always, I feel like, always on like the top cusp. They're always more advanced than every other company out there. They're definitely. It's just, I feel like they're just the upper, it's the Mercedes-Benz of goalie equipment. That's the way I can put it. That's the only way I can put it. My personal feeling.
Well, and I noticed too. You had the ones with they were red. You had red and white on there. Did you pad skin those for Blue Ridge? Is that what you did?
I skinned them for Blue Ridge. I couldn't keep doing the red. It just didn't make sense. And then the other kid that was there, Vero, he moved up and I took his spot, and he did his pads, and he has a set of the Trues, the Catalyst like I have, and he did them with just a touch of blue, and he's like, man, it is so worth it. He's like, you should definitely try it. And I was like, okay, it's only like $40 for a sheet. And then I stenciled exactly the leather, the cutout for what I had. And man, I put it over the leather and I cut that out, and then I kind of like set it, I cleaned everything off and like put it on, and it stayed really nice. It is gonna kick off from time to time. Sometimes like you'll move your glove or something like that, and it will pull, and you got to just pull that piece off, put it back on the leather, and just recut it, and you put it back on, and it looks great. Everybody is complimented. I was very skeptical because I didn't want it to look cheesy.
Oh, it looks great.
You spend a lot of money. I spent a lot of money on that custom equipment, and actually, I didn't spend a lot of money on that. There's one specific booster out there who really takes very good care of me. But we do not need to mention her name. She knows who she is. But she takes very, very good care of me. And she got me a lot of my stuff. And she wanted me to get the best of what I wanted. And I'm so grateful for her. But that equipment, I didn't want it to make it look cheesy, man. So I wanted to make sure it was a good fit. And man, it looks awesome. It looks unbelievable.
It picks up well on television too, by the way. So I mean, I do too. Look, I watch everybody's games. Well, I watch all of our in-conference games, I should say.
Sure.
Just to, I want to hear some. I want to see how the broadcast is. I also want to see some of. Well, of course, and I'll always be that way. It's one of those things where it's like, and we're very biased, and we think we have the best overall broadcast, and that also goes with your broadcast team, your crew, your broadcasters, and your equipment. And I mean, we're running 8 cameras right now at home. 8 cameras.
Impressive. That's huge.
That
is huge.
And
that's a big difference. That's a big difference from what everybody else is doing. There's a couple other teams. I know Bingo does it. I know Athens has it. But I mean, these are some of the higher end rinks that are meant or built to accommodate that. Like Bingo's always accommodated that, even because they went from the AHL to the Fed. So their mindset there was, we're going to have 16 different camera angles, and that never changed. That just carried over, and it's been a constant. And you love it. You go there, you get great videos of everything. You make a great save or something like that, or you get to see every angle. I mean, and I haven't played in Monroe yet, but I mean, I know Parker. And I know the way that his mind works in the aspect of presenting a team, and the way that he wants to present a team. Also, the way that he always wanted to present himself on the ice was very professional, as close to the NHL as you can get. That makes the most sense. And I can only imagine how that is run over there. I haven't been there, but I kind of want to give kudos to Parker, because he's done an amazing job from what I've seen. So, it's you want those camera angles, man. Those, especially for goalies. Man.
Oh, our camera angles are crazy.
Those 4 camera angles. We making a save.
Our instant replays are pretty sick, and we're going to be working on. I was told we're going to be doing something with in-net cameras. We've got a remote control PTZ right now that's in the scoreboard. We lowered the scoreboard, stuck it in there. It's remote control. It's 4K. We've got a couple other ones, and there's a little sneak peek this weekend. We're going very stop it right there, Eddie O. We got iPad with drawing on the iPad. So I'll be able to. That's so we've been working on some crazy good stuff.
And then he loops it around, and then back around, and then passes up.
And that's what I like about what I do, because I'm watching the play because I get it. Right, you and I are out there the whole time. I was captain many a year because, well, you're always out there. So, go, why, you're making friends with the refs. Go ahead. But I watched that play and I'm like, okay, well, hell, if they scored, this is why, because this just screwed up three. Yeah, they scored, and I know why. We're going to go way back now because he couldn't keep it in, and he couldn't get it out, or whatever the case. And it's like, I have that. And same thing, we get to, I don't do anything scripted. I can't. It's just not how my brain works. I'll get asked questions, and I'll be like, and I'll just roll it. Joseph's always like, "What, you want me to ask you something?" I'm like, "No, not really." But our comedy is great, and and I do like watching, who are we going to be playing soon, and looking at the schedules and understanding, well, this is the implications, because you got to explain to your fans too that this is these points here.
And your demographic right now too over there for fan base wise, they're out of the loop.
Right.
They need that information. They need that, and that's going to make them a bigger fan. It's just going to draw them in more. And maybe it's not a physical, hey, I can't make the game, but guess what? I'm going to listen to the game, or I'm going to tune in, and then TV sales, and that helps everything, sponsorships, all that stuff like that. So what you're doing is the right thing. There's no question about that. And you're adapting with it, you're learning, man, it is pretty cool.
Oh, I would have never thought I'd be doing something like this. Even sitting here talking to you right now, it's not something I would have done. It was so far out of my comfort zone in August, and then after, it's easy. It really is, and it's like if you have the experience, it's all you're doing is you're two dudes sitting on a couch talking about hockey. Ultimately, that's what you're doing.
I do that anyway for free. Yeah. With beers.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Oh, on that being said, what's your favorite beer, Mr. Coors Light?
It's that Coors Light was brought to you by sponsorships from the Blue Ridge Bobcats, and that was a well-deserved beer that I think everyone in that locker room deserved that night because of said altercations that took place on the ice. Obviously with coach and GM's permission. I thought it was appropriate after a long weekend. Anyway, I'm a Chickalope guy. I'm a Chickalope. Give me the Ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tasty. It's smooth. I don't like heavy stuff because I like to I was never a big drinker, to be honest with you. I really wasn't. So the light stuff is easier, more manageable. And then also, I know if I touch a little bit more than a certain number, I'm like, well, I should probably call a cab, So
Uber it up.
Measure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ubering out or you have a designated driver sitting at home that you ask her.
Yeah, I've been rocking the vodka sodas with limes lately.
Really?
Well,
if I'm going to do a mixed drink, my go-to is always Jameson and ginger ale.
Well, I'm definitely down for the bourbon, but since right after Christmas I got diagnosed being diabetic, I realized that vodka is probably one of the better things that I could drink with that. Matter of fact, it even lowers your blood sugar, which is crazy cool because I'm like, so I'm going up to Monroe. Oh yeah. So it tells the pancreas or somebody down there, hey, just we're gonna make everything real happy right now. So yeah, I was noticing, we're going out after the games and I'm having some cocktails and man, next morning my blood sugar is fantastic. I'm like, there's got to be a correlation. And lo and behold, I asked somebody and they're like, oh yeah, they're a biophysicist or something like that. And they're like, yeah, no, that's vodka helps. I'm like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Russians are so much, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, vodka, yeah, Nostrovia, yeah.
Yeah. They're not stupid.
What did you got a goalie coming in nowadays? What would you tell a young goaltender coming into the game? What kind of advice would you kind of throw at him or her?
If you're there, it's for a reason. Trust in your ability, trust in your determination, and your goalies have such a can-do attitude, even when they're. I mean, how many goalies you see in the big thing is how did he make that save? Well, that whole product of that is he's already down and out, but he didn't count themselves or she didn't count herself out. You know what I mean? So you don't count yourself out. Give yourself the chance. Let somebody else tell you no. Let a coach tell you it's just not going to work out. And then if that does come, ask your questions. Still be a student, regardless of whatever you're taking in, or whether it's negative feedback or positive feedback or whatever it is. Continue to ask those questions because, like you said, with broadcasting and stuff like that, you're a student of it. And I have played this specific position for 31 years now, and I am still a student of this game. I love this position. I'm always asking, why did you do that? Why do you RVH below that point and not over that point? Or why don't you do this? Or, well, you're a smaller guy. Do you think that maybe you have the faster ability? Or if you're stuck in that RVH or something like that, do you think like maybe you're too small? That's why you're getting beat up top, or whatever it is. Just ask your questions. No such thing as a stupid question. And don't count yourself out. Believe in yourself. That's it. You know your abilities best than anybody else, but you have to be able to muster up and show them when needed to. And a lot of times that's usually under a pressure situation. So if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to show.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's in this position is exactly that. It can be stressful. It can be fun. There's a lot of communication that's involved. There's a lot of mechanics, and it really is probably, if not one of the toughest position in all sports, for what it is.
Yeah.
And it's really, even over the last 20 years, it's evolved. I mean, it's ever evolving, but I mean, even getting back into playing, I was like, well, I mean, even the playing style, right? I still have that vintage playing style that you can't play with these pads. You can't play with it's, well, I wasn't much of a skate save person, but I was forcing yourself into a butterfly. I modeled myself off of an Eddie. It was like an Eddie Belfour and I had a Potvin's glove. It was just a weird kind of hybridy, but not really. Where you just had to be quick. You didn't have a choice. And it's funny because about a month or so ago, I suited up with my old gear, and I was out there with Parker, and he was laughing. I was like, "What's funny?" He goes, "I have no idea how to shoot on you. Like I have no idea." I'm like, I said, "Well, just shoot the puck, just anywhere. I don't care. Just." And it was like, okay, yeah. He goes, you look so weird. I'm like,
it's weird, right? Because a lot of forwards come down and they study you. And they're typically used to studying a type of style or a type of goaltender and stuff like that. And I think, I don't know. I'm starting to think that some of my success comes from that as well. Is I'm not a traditional, as I'm getting older, I'm not able to move in a traditional manner, but I know where to be and how to get there and what's open, what isn't open. I do. So it's getting to the complexities of, you're coming down and like maybe I'll toy with guys sometimes and I'll be down and out in a position and they'll think like, okay, he's not going to get up in this position. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. But I know where you're shooting. I know what's open and I know where you're going to shoot the puck. And it's like, okay, shoot the puck. And then it's like, okay, no, I know it was going that side anyway. So I can make the save easily. And like, you can bait guys into doing stuff like that sometimes. And I think that's what it is too. Like, I know what's, on a shooter standpoint now, I've been doing it so long. I know what's available, what they're possibly looking for. Very rarely, and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't happen often. It's more of like I was just a second behind, or I got caught up with somebody out front, or it's a weird tip, or they just snipe you. Sometimes they just freaking snipe you. It just happens. I mean, that's if you don't. If you have a problem getting sniped as a goaltender, then man, I think you are in the wrong position because it's going to happen. There's always, you want them to snipe you because it's going to force you to play harder and, try to go back and recalculate your angle or, your speed, your depth, whatever it might be. So,
Yeah, that's when you go, damn, that was a good goal. I mean, you just got me on that.
Sometimes, you know what? I was on I was playing with Kirkby on bingo, the captain for bingo this weekend. He had a goal. He came down on me on my right side, just came over the half wall, and he just ripped it. And I had my angle, and he ripped it perfectly above my pad, below my glove, and just slightly inside that far side post. And I heard it, and I was like, no fucking way, bro. And like we were just kind of going back and forth all game, you know, the past games that we were playing, you know, we've been around for a while. So I mean, we're just buddy joking. And he's like, I need one, Huss. And but I asked him, and he came back over. I go, bro, where's it? I go, was that just wide open? He's like, no. I was like, dude, that was just a good shot. He's like, yeah, I think it was just a good shot. I was like, dude, you don't think, like, I think it was a really good shot. Like, you know, just two guys playing hockey, like, competitively, but at the same time, still shooting the shit. Like, you know, and it's just a good shot. And it's like, hey, man, great fucking shot.
Yeah,
dude.
tip. Yeah, I got to tip it.
I love that.
Yeah, like I said, you know, kind of buffaloing guys into doing stuff. I used to give you a glove all day. I knew my stick was weaker, but I'm going to give you that glove. I'm going to give you the whole side, but I'm going to take it away real quick. And
I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going because I'm giving you the garage door, or I'm going to open my legs a little bit wider, and as soon as you go to shoot, I know exactly where it's going. I'm dropping straight down. So yeah, I mean it's a head game. It's not us being mental. It's playing a game. It's like we're playing a little brain game.
Sure.
Kind of last thing I want to throw at you is you give an actual game that stands out, like it was your favorite game you've ever played in. That's a tough one.
There's been a lot. And each year they build on each other. Like, I love being the underdog. I love being counted out and having my thing as a goalie is I feel we have an amazing just ability to cause an uprising on the ice. Not just with the opposing team, but with your own team. And you have, if you know how to do it and I don't know, maybe go about it the right way, like you are a major inspiration. And the things that you can do is sometimes twice as motivational as seeing one of your guys go out there and beat the living crap out of somebody in a fight. And the way you go about it, I mean, that's one thing this year for me, I've directly done. I remember doing it the first game I played with the Bobcats this year in Carolina. And like, I remember going up in TV timeouts and we're tied. I think we're tied like 3-3 or something like that in the third period. I remember going up in the TV timeout. I think we got like 1 or 2 left. And I go, listen, I got your back. Like, it's okay. Like, don't worry about making a mistake. I have your back. You're okay. Get the puck deep, get shots on net, and crash. I got your back if it falls back going backwards. I have you. And I think literally the next play, it went down, and I think it had a great shot, great attempt, and the rebound was massive off of Babbick's pad, and it came back out, and it ended up being a 2-on-1. Made a huge save. And like, bam, I have you. Next TV timeout. I'm up there and I'm like, guys, listen, good job. Keep working. Guess what? I got us. I'm betting on us this time. You know what I mean? I got us in this going into the overtime and stuff like that. Like, I got us all day long, no question. And just forcing that like mentality on these guys and seeing them actually respond. I think these games that I've been playing in lately, I've been doing a lot of that and a lot of like mental, emotional, just getting them going. And these games now, I think are some of the ones that stick out the most, playing against, some of the top teams that have already counted us out, or maybe haven't even seen us yet because the organizations haven't met yet. I think these games now are some of the biggest ones for my own professional playing reasons, just because the way I've been able to help alter the outcome of a game, and I've, thought it out in my brain and then I went out and did it. It's been definitely some of my favorites, but probably the biggest one that stands out for me is I think the overtime win in Macon I had against who did we play? I think it was Fayetteville. And we played Fayetteville. It was either Fayetteville and Knoxville. And me and Brendan were on the ice. I think Brendan got one of the tying goals, and then it just shut them down. I worked my bag off to just shut them down in overtime, and we ended up getting a lucky bounce and getting it in. And man, I want to say there was probably 12 family members that we had in the stands that night, and it was magic. It was just magic. That's probably the biggest game that I think I've will always hold with me for sure. But,
yeah,
it's
hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
They all leave their mark on you,
Oh yeah, they're all special. I mean, there's and as you said, I mean, you can make a spectacular save and you just change the entire momentum of the game.
Oh yeah,
and you can let one in, and then you can let the air out the building.
Oh yeah,
it's so. I mean, it goes both ways. It really does, and and like I used to tell my guys, look, you got to go you have a lot of communication with your defenseman to try to figure out how do you want to play the shots guys coming down. It's one of those where it's like, I'll take the shooter. I'll take the shooter. You cheat on the guy that's going to get the pass or may get that, assumed pass.
Maybe don't cheat, but just make sure that pass
enough.
You get enough on it.
Right. Sprawl or whatever. But don't deflect it. As long as I can see it, I'll stop it.
Please don't put it on me. Please
just don't. Yeah, just don't deflect it. Just don't let it hit your skate or your stick or in face. I don't care.
My buddy in college, he plays in the league now. Is Brian Parsons. He plays out in what is it? Port Huron. He's a defenseman out there. Man, he was my defenseman in college. he must have tipped in at least 15 goals in me one year, I think. It was wild. He'd look at me like, sorry, Huss.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get in the way of that one. Sorry about that, bud.
And he was great. He was a great defenseman. So it's a situational situation where it's just, it happens. It happens. And that year it happened a lot, but that's okay.
Well, and as we look at it this weekend coming up, we've got, you guys are at home playing the Venom, I believe, this weekend, both games.
We're home
Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday, in Virginia, and then we're gonna hop on. We got a makeup game for Athens, so we'll be in Athens on Sunday.
Okay, well, that's good news for us. I mean, per se, it's funny because, like I tell Joseph, there's, it doesn't matter if you play Danville or if you play Mississippi or if you're playing Binghamton. There's a reason we play these games. It's a reason to play the games. There's no guaranteed wins. I don't care who the teams are going out. You can hope, but I mean, I pick who wins. Because I'm not too stupid. I could pick the winners pretty well. And that last weekend I got kind of messed up a little bit, but it's and then we've got Columbus for 2 games this weekend, which is interesting because we get Babbitt again. And it's
how he does with them. Yeah, he's a good goalie.
It's gonna be, but you how fast is the chemistry? There's you can make all these trades, but it's about chemistry. And
but for a guy like Babin, I mean, he's been in the league.
It should be fine.
He was in the league with my brother Brendan and Elmira. You know what I mean? Just beginning like that's where Babs was just starting out, and Brendan's been in the league for. I joke with him and tell him it's decades, but he's been around for a long time, 6-7 years. So I mean, you got to think Babin's been around the same time, and he's been he's been a staple in any net that he's been in. I don't see him having an issue walking into a new team with guys that he probably told them go F themselves and stuff like that, because he's very similar to the way I play, with the chip on his shoulder, and I'll punch you in the fucking face. I don't care.
I've seen it. I mean, it's
yeah, oh yeah.
I've seen it on 3 occasions at least.
It's not a secret. I'll punch you square in the face. I don't care. But that's part of the game. I mean, that's why, everyone likes to go in and play Babin. Like everyone's like, yeah, just go after him, just start getting into his head. And it's like, yeah, but it's not just that simple. Like there's a back and forth of the game, and there's mixed in of like saves that you're like pulling your hair out of your head as a forward, because like, how the fuck did he make that save? And that was like, that was onset by him and you chirping, and he's going to make sure that you're going home pointless or with a -3, So like he's going to walk in, he's going to be fine. I have faith in him.
I think with him more, I don't think it's people getting into his head. I think he gets in his own head. I was talking to the Motor City announcer, and he said he was seeing that for a little brief stint he had, and we all do that though. It's
but I mean,
to a point.
In this league, again, I don't think it has to do with his concern of his ability or anything like that.
Oh no,
anything. It's to do with money or what's going on in the organization, or why was it such a fucking shit show this morning?
Right.
Or you know what I mean? There's so many other attributes that lead up to it. Yeah. There's a lot of good hockey players in this league that if they didn't have to deal with the Federal League bullshit that they do deal with on a day in and day out, whether it's organization, league, referees, et cetera, buses, whatever it might be, maybe those don't happen, and that helps. If that player is taken out of the league and propped into a different league, I feel like they're going to excel that much quicker. There's a lot of things that, and I'm not saying anything bad about the league, but I mean, there's things that have gone on that are like, oh God, like, come on guys, like another bus issue. Like, don't you think we would have figured this bus issue thing out? You know what I mean? Instead of throwing $3,000 at a bus every 4.5 months, you know what I mean? And praying that it gets there. Can we just maybe dump the $13,000 or the $15,000 up front in the beginning of the year that we know we're probably going to fucking put in at the end of the year anyway? Just put it into the front of the year to get you there, because guess what? That gets you, the start of the season in, and your guys are there. They're there safe. They're there. They're comfortable. They got to the hotel. They're there on time. They're prepared for the game. And guess what? At the beginning of the season, that could make a world of difference when it comes down to crunch time. You're trying to make it into a playoff spot, and again, the bus could still be breaking down, and you know what I mean? It can make or break some of these organizations that are, borderline struggling or struggling for a playoff spot or something like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different attributes that go into getting into a player's head is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I've been there before. So again, I can't, there's not many athletes in this league that I would ever throw shade at. Not to say that you were, but I would never throw shade at when it comes to playing, because there is so much that goes into trying to put out a good game, a good hockey game. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And I tell you what, this league has a plethora of great goaltenders. It really does. It's fun to watch any team on any given night, because you're like, and nobody's the same. Everybody's a little different. So it's like you're going to get a little different something from somebody. And it's a lot of fun. Like even like Will Lavalier. I actually like watching Will play. I mean, I think he's kind of got that vintagey status. He's stocky, but he's a very good position. Yeah. He's just he's a little different. But yeah, I mean, but just guys like that, like Cody Karpinski, and even Sean Kuhn. Watching Kuhner this year.
He's a traditional Canadian goalie. That's the way I see
Will.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, like 100%.
Montreal style French Canadian goalie. That's Will. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And
with like the true
yeah. With the when we saw him the other day, it was when Athens came in, we had the 3-3 with Athens. We had 2 at home, 1 in Athens. The first night we were there, he comes over immediately, and we're in warm-ups. I'm overstretching, doing my thing. He's halfway from the other side of the across the rink. He's over, and he's coming over. He's like this, coming over the red line, skating over to me like this. And I'm like, all right, buddy, come here. Give me a hug before you get a penalty or something like
Yeah,
that.
right. Yeah, before you're starting off a man down. Thanks, bud. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
yeah, come here. Come give me a hug. Yeah.
I love it, buddy.
You come on my side. You come on my side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I enjoy that. I enjoy talking to the goaltenders and it's for obvious reasons. But no, it's one thing. Us in Monroe we've had some really good goaltenders there. It's good, and they're good kids, good people, and it's just refreshing to see. Everybody's sky's the limit for a lot of the players, anyways. Some are getting a little older, but
me, yeah,
you,
35.
Yeah. See, I didn't realize you were 30. I didn't realize you were that far up there. Yeah,
I'm up there.
Yeah,
I'm up there.
I'll be. Hey, buddy.
Brett said something the other day. Brett was like, he goes, "Are you the oldest goalie in the league to get a shutout?" And I was like, I don't.
Maybe.
No. I said, does the FPHL that organized that we could archive that? And the answer is probably not. Probably not.
No, it would take a lot of research, and we'd have to figure that out ourselves. It's probably something I'd go look in. I'm like, you know what? Now I got to look and see. But yeah, dude, I can't believe in April I'm hitting the 5-0.
Are you hitting 50?
Dude, I'm holding on to 40. Huh?
How are the hips?
My hips are great because I didn't play that style. It's the knees.
That's true.
It's the knees. And you know what? And it was something I wanted to catch on, but we got to get out of here in a sec. But I'm at another podcast with the Net Perspective of my buddy Jeff, who we played against each other a lot. It's funny because and this is another weird one. So we had friends. They were bragging on each other. We were playing street hockey back in the day, and they're like, "Oh, well, these guys went to Pittsburgh. They went to nationals." And we're like, "We're just a bunch of scrappy freaking backyard hockey players." And we're like, "Yeah, we'll beat you guys in the best 2 out of 3." And they're like, "Well, let's go then." I had 102 fever, and we beat them 2 out of 3. Like, I was making saves out of my mind. I was grabbing stuff behind me, and Jeff.
Sick.
Oh, there is. You're out of your mind. You're done.
You're playing.
Jeff's like
sick. It's like you're like reserving better or whatever. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But every time I played sick, I've been like lights out.
Yeah, because you yourself was lights out. You didn't.
I just pulled that
Jeff's
off.
like, dude. He's just like you got the fastest glove I've ever seen. Like I've never. Like I don't even. But it's. But him and I anyway. We're talking about. The injuries, and now you're getting guys with the hip injuries, the hip surgeries, double hip surgeries. Murray with his double hip surgery. Do you think maybe they'll be like, you know what, hip surgeries are pretty freaking serious. And maybe there weren't as many knee surgeries back in the 90s, 80s, and early 2000s. Do you think they hybrid it and maybe change it up a little bit because? I don't know.
The style of play will ever change from what it has evolved to currently. I do know the hip thing did start originally with Carey Price. You watch him go; he would very exaggerate. If you come from the post up to from a low corner pass out up to the point. And the way that he would push off his right and arrive to his left, and that left hip would snap in such a way they teach you to like snap it, and like it snaps you into that position. When you see goalies move, there's so much torque and pressure put on that one joint. And if you think about it, the joint when it goes and snaps, and the rest of your body weight comes with the inertia that's coming behind it, it's so impactful. Like it's so much. So like realistically, you're going to be bone on bone really quick. You keep doing that stuff at a high rate of speed. Let's say 50, 60 times a night, probably more, considering you probably had a morning skate or you had practice throughout all week. And like, bro, that's beating the snot out of yourself, man. Like, I'm not saying
the position.
I definitely do it.
Position does it anyway, man. It's just a very abusive. I mean, my knees, back, shoulder. I mean, It's just
You do yoga.
we
You
do
gotta
it.
do
We
yoga.
just abuse it,
Pickles
and we love
yoga.
it.
Swear
Yeah.
by it. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife's a Pilates person, but I think she's just trying to kill me. But that's that's dude. What? Who invented that? I mean, I know who invented it, but why would you do that? Like, it's something. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because she's also a Pilates instructor. She had, I think 7 students tonight, which is kind of fun. But I'm like, she told Joseph, she goes, hey, we got some time to do, cause he works out every day religiously. And she's like, you want to do some Pilates? He goes, I'm down. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not a good idea. I wouldn't, but we'll just let him do it one time and he'll be like, yeah, you know what? We're not doing that again. That's just,
I don't know if I need to work out my core that much. Or also, I went and do it and be like, I feel like I work out my core pretty well. I would say I'm an athlete. I would say
so.
You do that. You're like, nope, not an athlete.
I'm not even sure where my core is anymore. It's buried somewhere way in there.
I must be having an off day. Let me try it again another day and we'll see.
Yeah, we'll look at. We're doing Pilates, I'll tell you that much. But man, I tell you what, I wish you nothing but the best of luck the rest of the season and finishing off your retirement tour, so to speak. Yeah. You say that, but as you know, you never say never. You never say never because stranger things happen, man. You know that, and
they do.
And I wish you nothing but the best with the missus and all that good stuff. It's been a pleasure befriending you last year, and it's yes. I'm sure it won't stop anytime soon.
No, it won't. It won't. We always I always get a text from you after a game. So I'm like, what is going on over there? What?
Oh, that was yeah. I'm like, what's going? Because somebody's like, are you watching the Blue Ridge game? I'm like,
did you really just
should I be?
Right now? What's going on?
I'm like, hold on. And now I got my wife watching it with me, and I'm like, okay, I think something happened at the end of the period, so we got to hold on. Now we got to go back to the end of the period to see what happened at the beginning of the period. Because this happened because of something else, and let's see what it was. Boy, was I right. And I was like, well, that was entertaining.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
The boys weren't happy.
Yeah, well, that's why we play the game. Not necessarily, but oh man. But at any rate, oh lordy, look who's going to be 50. Anyway, overall, that's going to be it for about now. I'd like to thank anybody who's tuned in for this episode. And before we go, I want to thank our sponsor tonight, Biscuit Balm. Biscuit Balm, I swear by this stuff. It's the athlete's choice for post-game muscle and joint pain relief. It's all natural, all organic ingredient. It's a pain and topical joint type dealio. It's got CBD in it, man. It's within depending on my pain, within 30 seconds to a minute, it's gone, which is scary good and scary at the same time. But this has been Inside the Blue Paint, and you can find us on all of your social media locations, including Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. You can also listen to this audio version on the podcast on Spotify. The video version may or may not be up on YouTube, X, and Facebook. But until next time, remember, if you can see it, you can stop it. Take care, everybody.